Ourselves some prime time content, baby. Who do you see here? We got Baldy. Big fan. But this is not the beginning, because this video is in a response to two separate other videos. Judging by the days, 2 days ago, 1 day ago, and then 15 hours ago, we gotta watch episode 1, episode 2, and then we can understand, episode 3 content. So first, we're gonna watch this. Tectone is out of touch. Looking at the likes to dislike ratio, it's not looking too good for your boy Espiritu. But here's the thing. I think that the 92 people are obviously coming from Tectone's community. Judging by the amount of viewership, it's a 5 to 10% ratio. Remember what I keep saying, right? If your community, if you're making content for your community, it's probably going to be that 10% ratio. If you're in the 5% range, more people from probably Tectone spaces coming in. So it's looking like it got received pretty decently. Let's see what he has to say first.
So I want to get into a tweet that Tectone made and just kind of break it down. And I know some people don't like Tectone. That's fine. Not everyone's going to like people. But I just want to be very clear. I mean no malicious hate.
Okay.
I mean no ill will. I'm simply just criticizing Tectone's tweet and kind of going into my thought process behind it.
I mean no ill will, no hate. How did it turn into this? The dumbest creator just called me. Like, that's quite the title, These are some fighting words. Like, holy shit, what's going on? I'm just, around in the, just doing the anime reactions, and Espiritu has been around, He chills in the Discord, he pops up, he was rooting for me against the, fraud lad drama stuff, So I'm just like, what the fuck happened? Anyways, let's find out.
This is just simply how I could potentially interpret it. So again, keep things civil. Criticize the message,
sure,
not the individual. Again, I just don't.
Sure, we're again, this is the most unserious shit right now. We're just probably just fucking talking about anime bullshit. Then again, I don't know. At the end of the day, it shouldn't resort to personal attacks, right? We want to talk about the talking points, right? We want to talk about the ideas being discussed.
I just really don't agree with how Tectone has worded this. And I think it's kind of harmful in how it's presented. Maybe.
Oh, yeah. This tweet. If you are content creator age 30 plus and you are not a millionaire, you are ruining your life. Ooh. Content creators need to understand that earning enough to only get by is going to ruin them long term. Absolutely agreed. Every day you spend at your computer streaming, making barely enough to order DoorDash and make ends meet and pay rent. You're sacrificing time. You could be building a legitimate career and furthering your education. Everything that he said here so far, I absolutely agree with them. Content creation is a young man's game. It's a short-lived thing. And most people will never achieve any sort of success to keep doing it full time. So while I do agree, I think the sentiment that's volatile and inflammatory is the first line. If you are a content creator age 30 plus and you are not a millionaire, basically, you're a fuck up is what he's saying. And there are partial truths there, but let's just keep going.
Maybe he didn't mean it in quite the way.
Anyways, where was I? You are essentially delaying the inevitable, and you will most likely be working customer service at age 35 until you die once you retire. Too many content creators are spending everything they have earning, not investing, not saving, assuming that this amount of income will be here forever. That's another thing too. The money that people are making, the money that I'm making, this shit is not going to last forever, right? If you are in a privileged position to be making more money than your day job, like this is what I did, right? I graduated college, I got my big boy software engineer job, and I was making pretty decent money, but I was like, damn, this shit is not fulfilling at all. What did I do? Start a YouTube channel. I saw that motherfuckers are reacting to anime, and they're making my annual salary per month on Patreon. So I was like, what the fuck? Let me try that shit too. I did it, and then eventually it grew, right? Within the 3 years of me holding down the day job, it started to grow and grow to the point where I'm like, the opportunity cost from that 9 to 5 that I'm spending away from content creation, I think that there is more potential. Again, the opportunity cost, this intangible amount. Even though I'm making money 9 to 5, I think that if I did content creation full time, I could be making more money. And by the time that my content creation and everything was eclipsing the amount of income that I was making, for my day job, I decided, fuck it, let's do it full time. We've been doing this shit full time for about almost a year now. It's reaching April. I quit my day job about June. So I'm in a pretty privileged position to be, you know, I guess, kind of like see from both sides of somebody that's held down like an actual like corporate, you know, America like day job in the tech field, making decent money while trying to do something on the side, eventually grew to something on the side. And now I'm doing this shit full time. And for sure, like this money is not going to be forever. So if you're not making enough money to be able to like, let's say cover all your operational costs, right? You got an editor, you got to pay the bills there, right? You got to still pay rent and blah, blah, blah. How much money are you actually taking home and investing it, right? Every amount of money that I make, dollar cost average into the S&P 500, right? ETFs, blah, blah, blah. You're playing the long run, 20, 30, 40 years down the line, right? You're trying to make that passive income such that no matter how much you spend in your desired lifestyle, you're going to be accruing that compounding interest and passive income such that you are finally independent. That is like the ultimate like end game so that I can do what I want to do rather than what I need to do. So far here, everything that he's saying is true. But I think the beef has to do with how volatile this initial line says, where now it feels like, oh shit, I'm 30 plus and I'm not a millionaire. I guess I'm a fuck up, huh? That I think is a bit too much. There is too much like absoluteness in that statement that I think Espiritu is probably going to talk about.
I would say I'd be open to discuss this with him, but I can tell you right now he won't. I keep saying I offer, but I know he won't. But I'm going to do this video regardless because I want to criticize.
Bro has no clue that in 2 days, Tectone would make another video. Dumbest. Okay, I don't think Espiritu is the dumbest creator. I've seen a lot of fucking monkeys on this platform, bro. Listen, Espiritu is a pretty logical and a rational person. I truly do believe this.
And highlight this to some of his audience members that seem to just blindly eat everything he says up, because I've seen the quote retweets and it feels like a lot of his content creator friends are like, yeah, Tectone's so smart here. No. Okay. And I don't know if it's just bad messaging or maybe I've interpreted it in a different way. So we'll read it and I'll go over bits and pieces. I'll try and read as much as possible because I don't want things to be kind of taken out of context. Okay. If you're a content creator age 30 plus and you are not a millionaire, you are ruining your life. Poor. Personally attacked as a 35-year-old that currently right now looks like a homeless person because I haven't had a haircut.
Oh. Bald, millionaire, 30-year-old bullies. Homeless 35-year-old should be the title of the video when we get to this one. But obviously, like, yeah, I guess Espiritu feels personally called out, right? Like, he's looking at himself, he's not a millionaire, he sees this, you know, things being said. Espiritu, I don't know about his financial situation, I don't know if he has a day job, but he's been doing this for a while, right? And I guess it does feel personal to be called out like that, but again, what Tectone here is saying, I don't think is necessarily wrong. There's a lot of truth in there. It's just the way that the first statement was phrased that may seem very rude to other people. But the truth hurts sometimes, you know? But let's keep going.
And a shave in quite a while. But at least I don't look like Asmongold with rotting teeth. Content creators need to
Asmongold getting called out of nowhere? Okay.
Understand that earning enough to only get by is going to ruin them long term.
True.
That's literally how every job works.
But the thing is here. Here's the thing. Content creation. So let's listen to Espiritu here for a second. Hold up.
Only get by is going to ruin them long term. That's literally how every job works, Tectone. Most people make just enough to get by, even with full stable jobs, whether they're working in nursing,
let him cook,
retail, cleaning, gardening. Think of any sort of, I would say, middle pyramid tier kind of job. It's not like...
Yeah, middle class jobs, right? But here's the thing. There's a fundamental difference in content creation and the jobs that Espiritu is mentioning right now. Me quitting my day job as a programmer to get into content creation is a risky ass gamble. You know what happens when you have a huge gap in your work history? They discriminate you based on that. The older you get, the less desirable you are for any type of job. But in content creation, it's even more significant. Content creation truly is a young man's game. I know that content creation is more of like a newer thing. Live streaming is pretty new too. So like we don't see super old people doing it full time. But it is definitely fair to assume that like this is a very short-lived game. And your goal isn't to work 20 to 30 years doing content creation and then retire and, you know, basically just like live out your golden ages like you would do in like a regular job. Your goal is to make 20 to 30 years of money that you'd be making in that day job in this finite time of like 5 to 10 years or so on doing content creation, right? That's just how I see content creation. I could be wrong about this, but that's kind of like my projection. So when Tectone is saying like you spending more time doing content creation, barely making any money, you are really fucking yourself over because you're getting older, you're ruining your chances of getting education, and then there's going to be ageism that happens regardless of what industry you're in, right? I definitely understand where Tectone is coming from with the statement.
Like, you know, everyone's got doctors or engineers or programmers or, you know,
But those jobs, right? The actual regular jobs, the more you work on it, the more like transferable skills that you're going to build up, the more career history you're going to build up, the more networking you're going to have, and you can stay in that game. When you do content creation like this, it's a like think of the day jobs as kind of like a more like a stable boat, where content creation is like a fucking raft. Like you're in the ocean, there's a storm, you're on a raft. It's very volatile. So like I think that there's a bit of a misunderstanding here where the comparison right now with the day jobs and content creation, it's not a one-to-one comparison. What Tectone is saying is correct.
Even game design, because I was going to say like coding for gaming and stuff, even game designers don't even get paid that well these days.
They've never been paid well. Gaming is just like animation industry. People basically prey on the passion of like, let's say people just want to be game developers. So there's a funny saying in the whole like tech industry, right? Where game developers, you become a game developer if you want to work twice as hard to make half as much money. Because for every one of you that's, you know, if you leave, there's 1,000 others at the door that's just ready to fill up, waiting to like work for fucking nothing because again, they abuse and kind of take advantage of that passion. Same with the animation industry.
So I really do find this a little bit of out of touch right here straight away. Every day you spend at your computer streaming, making barely enough to order DoorDash and make ends meet and pay rent, you are sacrificing time that you could be building legitimate careers and furthering your education.
Baldy's right.
Now, there's a part here where I agree and disagree. So we'll go through this. Every day you spend on your computer streaming, barely making enough to do DoorDash. I feel like this is where if you're doing YouTube full time and you're barely making it by, I think you need to reevaluate how much you do YouTube as a full time, or streaming as well. Again, the problem is the way Tectone frames this is makes it sound like if you're like, again, maybe he should have went, if you're streaming or a content creator full time and you're barely making ends meet. But then he also says millionaire. You don't need to be a millionaire to survive comfortably.
True.
Blah, blah, blah. Comfortably. Yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? You don't need to be a millionaire. That feels out of touch. And I'll get into why, because this is the same issue.
Let him cook, wait.
They both seem to share the same issue. And I know why. But before I lose my train of mind, you don't need to do content creation full time. You could do it part time and have a main job. You could be, you know.
Yeah, just hold on a day job, and if you want to do content creation, you know, during your time off, because it gives you like creative like pursuit, right? You're able to express yourself in a creative way, and you're able to make some side hustle money off of that. Then for sure, there's nothing wrong with that, right? I think the implication here is that if you're a full-time content creator and you're aging, you know, plus 30, and you're making no fucking money, and you're basically just net zero or negative every month, then you're ruining your life, is what Tectone's trying to say. It's sounding more and more the more I watch this video. Baldy and Homeless Man, they both have the same sentiment. They agree. But it's how it was said, right? It's this 30 plus and not a millionaire part, I think, is the key struggle right now.
Working at a retail store, doing gardening, construction, whatever, and doing YouTube or streaming part-time. Maybe you have a passion of something and you just make videos here and there whenever you want. And as it grows, you start to realize that the revenue and the growth is really building up. And you're like, you know what? I could do this maybe more full time. Maybe put more hours into this. Reevaluate where you're putting your focuses. I feel like this whole mindset of doing content creation full time and that's the only way, like it's like all or nothing. You don't have to do content creation full time.
Oh yeah, I know, but Tectone's not saying that, right? I feel like we're kind of shadowboxing here because I definitely hear out Espiritu, but I feel like the context, the framing of this tweet is directed at those people doing full time. Tectone's not talking about like, hey, if you're doing full time working day jobs and you can do part time streaming, you know, give up on part time streaming. That's not what Baldy's saying right now, right?
Content creators I know that are even in the AniTube space don't do YouTube full time. I believe, and I'm just using an example with Annie News, does not do YouTube full time. He probably makes more money than me. He could probably make enough to do it full time. He doesn't. I believe he has a full-time job. A lot of content creators do have jobs. A lot of content creators have side hustles. Okay. Not because they're just desperate for money, but also so that they can make ends meet, so that they can have luxuries, etc. But yes, there are some content creators that are struggling. But if you are a content creator that's trying to do YouTube or streaming full-time and you are struggling, then you do need to look at other careers. It doesn't mean you have to quit doing streaming or YouTube. I don't like that mindset that you have to just quit. I don't. And this whole idea that if you're not a millionaire by...
Again, like, what Espiritu is saying is, I agree with it, but I don't think Tectone has ever mentioned that, like, hey, if you're like this is targeted at full-time people. It's not explicitly said, but it's heavily implied. So, like, this whole part-time notion is an argument that we're just kind of making up.
30, you're out of touch. And if you do believe this, Tectone, you are out of touch with reality. Not everyone can be a millionaire like you because you make rage bait content. Let's be real here. You are just a rage bait reactionary content creator that does push the clickbait line.
Oh, just a reactionary rage bait content creator. Oh, we getting personal now. Wait a minute. Is this true? Let's see his videos. Coomer baiting. It's just gaming VOD, you know, titles. Putting Genshin in... Oh, there's some Genshin drama. Rage bait? I don't know if rage bait is the right word. I think that Tectone definitely stokes the flames of controversy in his direction, utilizing very provocative and volatile statements, which creates more noise in other people. Oh, shout out to the fucking Ratsu drama. Apparently he's back. But basically, I don't think that all he does is just rage bait. Reactions though? Absolutely we're reacting.
Just because we're all not millionaires from clickbaiting doesn't make us not successful.
Hey, maybe we should all just be rage baiting, huh? Then we can all be millionaires.
And not ruining our lives. Now, continuing, you're essentially delaying the inevitability. And I do agree, by the way, just here, that you could use some of that time to build your education, but this...
Absolutely. Every moment that you do content creation full time, every year that passes by without making any significant gains is more time that you fuck up in trying to get back into the regular normie jobs. Straight up. Gap in history of education, job history, you're likely of employment. You know what HR even thinks, bro? They look at that shit and say they just thought that shit out. You know why? Because there is so many elite students graduating from college with so much more accolades than you. They're fresh talent. They're younger. They can probably get paid less compared to you. Like, it's just a huge disadvantage. That's just the truth in just corporate America or any type of job. Maybe it's not the case in, let's say, like blue collar work, but like, man, it is very risky. You need to really, really look at yourself. Think about, like, can I really do this shit full time? Is this sustainable? Not just right now. Oh, great, you made a lot of money this month. What about next month? What about next year? Can your business model survive in the next coming decade? I don't think a lot of people really think about that. They immediately see, holy shit, my stream's popping off. My video went viral. I'm getting a lot of money this month. And they think this is the absolute, like, consistency for the rest. That's not the case. I carefully analyzed my statistics, my revenue, the upward trajectory for 3 years. And then I decided, you know what? I think right now is the opportune time to actually do it. And that was the best decision that I could have made for myself. Am I a millionaire yet? No. But does that mean I'm going to quit? No. Right? There's a nuanced take to this. That's not so fucking absolute.
This whole idea of you're further in your career, it's not like you're going to be doing like a retail job and suddenly become the CEO of the company. A lot of people, and my mother was a nurse. She worked in the nursing industry. Yes, she could further her education and try and get slightly better paying parts of that job, which, you know, you can do, but it's not like you're going to become a millionaire out of it by the age of 30. It just doesn't work.
But the idea is that those kind of jobs and those kind of regular jobs would offer a lot more stability, right? Rather than just being thrown into the fucking waters if something goes bad, right? Content creation, again, think of the raft versus ship analogy in the waters, bro. It's not safe at all.
It's not as simple as Tectone makes it out to be. And like I said, this is where I feel like he's kind of out of touch with reality. Him and Asmongold do the same thing.
Oh?
Because they're surrounded by successful content creators, and they don't really surround themselves with, you know, mediocres.
Poors like us.
They only surround themselves by successful people. They just think everyone else is like them, and everyone else is a millionaire. This is what happens when you become out of touch with reality, because you surround yourself with highly successful people, but you also forget your origins.
I feel like that doesn't necessarily have to be wrong. When you're surrounded by so many, you know, successful people, your view, your window of perspectives definitely gets more limited, right? I don't think what Espiritu is saying there is necessarily wrong. Is this statement out of touch, though? Yes and no. Because again, Tectone is a master at doing this. And just look at what we're doing right now. We're reacting to a video because the drama has started, because Tectone was able to make an inflammatory statement. And I've been following this content for a long time, bro. I have. Since the Genshin days, I was there for the Staff of Homa banner. Oh my god, that shit was nuclear content. But I have seen a pattern of behavior where he'll basically say some shit and it is so outlandish with some sprinkle. There's truth in there with the outlandish shit that gets people like Espiritu riled up and triggered to make a response like this, right? To say that, like, you know, if you're not a millionaire by 30, I mean, it's saying if you're 30 plus and you're not a millionaire, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that you could be 39 and you're a millionaire. I mean, if you look at this logical statement, it doesn't mean you need to be a millionaire by 30. It's just if you're over the age of 30, it could be 40, it could be 50, and you're not a millionaire, you've been doing content creation, then yeah, and if you've been also wasting all your money and not been investing, then yeah, you are gonna fuck up your life. That is the truth. But that initial statement again, the semantics, the interpretation of this, I think at the end of the day, it's just a simple miscommunication between Espiritu and Tectone, and they should talk it out. I think that we're all on the same page here. We're literally arguing for the sake of arguing right now.
Tectone loves to talk about his past quite a lot, but it does feel like he's forgotten a bit of the origins, that where he came from. Because this whole idea of everyone should be a millionaire as a content creator.
From what I know, Tectone is a self-proclaimed homeless person back during the Summoners War days. I don't know the person. Who knows if that's actually true or not, but that's what he says. And going by that, I feel like he would have definitely more perspective of both sides of the spectrum, right? Being just downright broke, homeless, and now I guess millionaire.
By the age of 30 is extremely out of touch and just stupid. You're essentially delaying the inevitability that you will most likely be working service jobs at the age of 35 and you will die once you retire. That's literally how the most working class works, Tectone.
True. That's the unfortunate reality, bro. Oh my god. And it's a very morbid thought, but that is the outcome of majority of people that exist in this world. We are literal livestock, right? We are livestock being fed into the grinding system, the gears of capitalism, and we're forced to just do menial tasks. Honestly, at this rate, we're gonna get replaced by AI though. So hey, you can retire from those jobs, but now you will have no job and you'll make no money and the robots will take care of everything for you. Isn't that great? What an amazing future ahead of us.
And as much as it sucks, that's just how the world is built. Sadly, I don't see any politician or any powerful entity changing that, where most people will have that ability to not be part of that. Sorry, But that's just a sad reality for most people.
That is true.
You are going to probably work most of your life.
That is true.
Now, the thing is, probably in America, that's probably a bigger thing. But I do know here in Australia, because that's where I live, we do have a lot more safeguards in place. We do have things like super, where a small amount of your income goes towards sort of like a fund, and it's non-taxable. And so by the time you hit a certain age bracket, I think it's 65, which is quite a while, you then get access to that and you use it for your retirement. And
ain't that basically just like a 401k? Basically like retirement funds, like tax shelter retirement funds where you put money into it, then you take it out by the end.
Then the government does pay you out as well. And so you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get a bit of a payout from the government as a taxpayer, and then you also get your little super fund. So if you're working in these kind of jobs, you are building towards something where you will have it. But the problem is a lot of people can sort of die before they even get to that point of retirement, which is why every time the government rises that whole super thing, it's a bit more complicated, people get quite angry. So, again, different countries, different things. Maybe he's talking about his country. I'm not 100% sure how America and Texas works, but not everywhere works like that. Too many content creators are spending everything they're earning and not investing and not saving, assuming that is the amount of income. I do agree, content creators, but this is the thing. This is even for really successful content creators. And I won't name names, but there are some content creators that I know that I've watched for a long time that are and still highly successful, but yet for some reason they don't have a safety net. And they would have had and should have had the income to build a safety net like that.
Because they're stupid. And these two lines are perfectly there. It won't be forever. No one is forever. People delude themselves into thinking, holy shit, the gravy train is going to last forever. It's not. You don't know of the future. It's uncertain. And people will inflate their lifestyle according to how much money they make and start doing unnecessary shit like fucking buying new cars or brand designer clothing when you should be doing is dollar cost average into a tax sheltered fucking account where you invest into the S&P 500 tracked index funds. That's all you gotta do. It's the boring long-term game. But if you can do this for 20 to 30 years into your horizon, you will be so much more safety. That is the safety net. That's all you gotta do.
And it's like one of those where it's like, okay, if you are a small content creator that you can't build a safety net, then you should look at other side jobs and not just have YouTube as your main career. But if you are big enough that YouTube is your full-time career and then something goes wrong and you don't have some safety net, that is on you and you alone.
Yeah, sure.
So I do somewhat agree to this. Too many content creators are spending...
No, he's absolutely right about that. People are dumb as fuck, especially content creators, but we're all monkeys. And most people are not financially literate. They don't teach this shit. They think they have no life skills. They have no social skills, especially people that's never actually worked a real day job. And they get lucky out of nowhere because they're entertaining as a fucking clown and they waste all their money and their future potential. And then at the end of the day, you got nothing and you're holding the bag as everything dries up. That's what Tectone is saying, right? I agree.
Spending everything they're earning. I agree with that. You should save what you can if you're able to. If you're able to. But if you are living by week to week, means to end, then you need to either look at the content creation itself and see where you can take it or pick up a side hustle. It doesn't mean you have to quit YouTube. I just think the messaging is a little bit off here.
I think we're interpreting the messaging wrong. Tectone is not talking about a situation where you're having to quit your fucking, YouTube stuff while holding down a day job. The framing of this tweet is talking about full-time content creators who are wasting their time and money, getting nowhere. And he's right about it. Right now, we're creating a separate argument where now we're thinking the context of people who have a day job and a part-time content creation hobby. And then Espiritu is thinking it's so mean for you to say to quit the part-time streaming thing. That's not what Tectone is saying. Right now, we are literally misunderstanding what's going on and creating, shadowboxing to happen. It's a miscommunication happening right now, is my interpretation.
It won't be forever. No one is forever. True. The average profitability lifespan of content creation is 2 to 3 years.
Probably less than that.
Agree to disagree. I think there's a lot of cases where it exceeds that. But I do agree to some degree. To be honest, I feel like this is a bit of projecting from him. Because he did succeed for a couple of years, 2 to 3 years, and he's kind of dipped. So I kind of feel like this is just him voicing his opinion because I feel like this is what he's going through. But if that's the case, are you telling me you seriously didn't have a safety net? I think he does. I think this is a little bit of warning, but also a little bit of like...
I don't think Tectone is talking about his current situation right now and projecting it. If you look at the analytics, he's still peaking. Is it on the same level of when Genshin Impact was trending as the biggest thing ever during when everyone was locked inside and had nothing to do but basically just be online? No. But if you look at his statistics, Social Blade or Twitch Tracker, you can go show it. You can just do it. His viewership is still on the rise. He's not falling off. So I don't think this is a projection.
You know, because he has kind of declined since the Genshin rise.
That is true, but you can't view that abnormal peak as a new baseline. You have to look at the comparable baselines of the past and the present. And if you've looked at those graphs, you would understand that Tectone is way at a better spot right now compared to before, even if those viewership is not reaching the peak of Genshin. Because again, those trends don't last forever. Those trends are there so that you can capitalize on it, bring in a new bunch of tourists coming in, make them into community members, and establish a new baseline, and then you move forward. That's just the game of content creation.
But that doesn't mean that if he doesn't chug along, he couldn't find another thing to pop off on. Again, YouTube doesn't have to be your full-time career. But he also has streaming as well. So, I don't know. I don't quite agree with this. I do think some content creators do go through sort of a rise and then a fall.
That's everybody.
But I also think a lot of content creators, when they hit that fall, they panic and they start doing stupid shit.
True.
And then it makes it worse. And
True.
rather than just kind of chugging along. There's many
True.
content creators that just kind of keep doing what they do and they just enjoy it.
That part is so true, where people will see their viewership increase without understanding why is it increasing. It's increasing because you probably went viral with some sort of trend, some sort of thing that's popping off. You are now basically being carried by a specific game, a specific topic, whatever. But a lot of people don't understand that, and they think, oh my god, the algorithm loves me. This must be my newest viewership. No. Manage your expectations and realize, there's a lot of new people coming in because of these trends. I should maintain my expectations and realize that, hey, it's going to come crashing down. But when it comes crashing down, the new baseline that's established, is it better than where I was before? That's what you'd be looking at.
This does not take into account how many years of startup it took to get there, and there well as burnout period. This is where, again, I always say, don't do YouTube full-time. Don't do streaming full-time. It can be a side hustle. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's my advice. Always look at other options.
But again, he's talking in the perspective of full-time here, where Espiritu is arguing for the part-time stuff, which again, there's a disconnect in the arguments right now.
YouTube and streaming is just one means to an end, and the site may not be around forever. So always look at other options. And yeah, building up personal skills is a good idea. I do agree with that. If you're not saving, you're not investing, if you're not being careful with your money, I do agree with that. You should be investing in a smart way, like saving what you can. And by investing, I don't mean you have to get into like the stock market. You can go to a financial advisor.
Do not do that. Listen, I'm not going to act as if I'm like some sort of hedge fund manager. But going to a financial advisor, why do you think they exist? They exist for the financially illiterate who don't understand how to dollar cost average into the S&P 500 tracked ETFs. They take advantage of you and they get a percentage amount. They make money off of your ignorance. Do not go to a financial advisor. What does dollar cost average mean? It means that rather than putting in a lump sum, let's say you have $1,000, rather than putting it into the stocks in one day, maybe you're going to spread that out such that every day you're investing maybe $50. That's what dollar cost average is. This way you don't have to time the market. It's about time in the market. This is just investing 101, the most baby ass Google Gaga strategy that is so publicly out there. It has just been the golden standard. Now, things are a bit changing recently, right? A lot of people are, we're going into a different fucking topic right now. Anyways, don't fucking go find a, just go watch some fucking financial videos and realize that, hey, I can literally just open up a tax shelter account and dollar cost average into an ETF, which has a portfolio of all the best, companies that's performing well. It's stability. It's just tried and true method.
And have them manage your money. You can do those kinds of things. So just to be very clear there. you're going to be left with nothing. Your skills at video games and reacting to videos serve no purpose. I do think you can transfer some of those skills like editing, skill management, marketing.
But how well are those going to be actual gigs to give you like a good career, right? That's the idea here, right? Like, sure, you could become an editor. You could, you know, it's not going to be the same stability and the safety net of like a real career is the purpose of this paragraph.
Social media, like there's some skill transfers that you can do, but it's not like video gaming reacting can be completely transferable. So I do agree to a point, but there is some skill transfer that you could do. Like, for example, if you have kind of you've reached your peak, you could do video editing. There are people looking for video editors all the time. You can do freelancing video editing. That's an option.
But like, unless you have like a good gig lined up, like a good partnership, bro, these kind of jobs do not get you the money that you need on a sustainable, consistent basis to be able to afford like a family and have that stability. That's the point here.
I know it's a bit competitive out there, but again, it's an option. There are always options available. Doesn't mean they're easy, but there are some out there. And you should always look at other options. And you will not be transferable to any other respectable job 99% of the time. Depends on what job you're looking for. Again, like
the key word, I guess, is respectable job, which translates to real jobs, right? Like, like middle class jobs, white collar jobs, or blue collar jobs, which is true.
So video editing, you can try and do that online. It just feels like it's a bit weird. I encourage any and all CCs to be more careful with their money.
True.
To understand their lifespan as content creators.
True.
And prepare for the future before the future is now.
Absolutely agreed.
Be careful with your money. Make sure you save. Make sure you have a safety net. Make sure you use it. Again, I'm not gonna give you financial advice, but I will say, save what you can and get advice from a professional on what you can do with that money to make sure that if something goes wrong, you have something to fall back to. Because there are too many content creators I know that are still successful, but for some reason they have no goddamn money. They're just
stupid. They're financially illiterate, ignorance. Their lifestyle creeps up as their income rises. But it doesn't matter how much fucking money you're making, bro. If you're spending it all, you're still poor.
Always got no money. And I'm just like, you make more than me. How is that possible? So I do agree with some of the messaging, but I don't like this whole idea is it's all or nothing with content creation. I don't quite...
But the all or nothing right now is under the assumption that you are doing this full time and you are 30 plus, not necessarily 30 on the dot. And Espiritu is arguing for you can do it part time and you don't have to give it up all or nothing. But that's not the argument that Tectone is making. That is the crux of this video. Straight up, Espiritu misinterpreted Tectone's tweet, which he also in the beginning of the video, he said he might have, right? And this has created basically an argument that is one-sided. And now Tectone is roasting his ass for, I guess, not understanding the intent of his original tweet. Both sides agree with the same shit. Straight up. Tectone and Espiritu both basically agree on the same shit. It's just a miscommunication right now that's causing this error. And it's just so unfortunate to see what's happening. Unless, here's the thing. What if, now let's put the tinfoil hat on. What if Espiritu is intentionally rage baiting? He misinterpreted the tweet intentionally to get a response out of Tectone so that he can now open up farming and maybe even make it onto the podcast. Here's the thing. I've seen so many times where Tectone and some other content creator gets in a beef initially, and then later on, they become friends and they start collaborating. One content creator that happened was Gacha Smack during the early ages of a Honkai Star Rail. I remember that shit. Tectone reacted to Gacha Smack's clip. Tectone was like, what the fuck, bro, so angry, blah, 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 it's just a game, blah, blah, blah. And then Gacha Smack reacted to that shit, and they had a little bit of a 1v1 discussion, and they homies, and everything was good. So like, you think it's weird to do with that? I don't know.
I agree with the full messaging. Because content creators are the new pro athlete, and pro athletes are notorious for ruining their lives.
content creators are the new pro athletes sounds so fucking corny and cringe until you really sit and think about like the money that, let's say, XQC has signed, right? No, seriously, think about it. Top content creators, the money that they make, the brand deals they get, it is comparable to athletes. It's just funny to think that, like, you know, CCs are pro athletes. Anyways, keep going. The comparison is accurate. A lot of pro athletes make a shitload of money in the beginning. They blow it all away. And by the time, you know, basically it's a young man's game, right? Yeah, sure, LeBron is 40 and still going, but not everyone's LeBron. Most people, you know, don't last like a decade, right? There's such a finite, small window of opportunity to make as much money as possible. And not many people understand that, and they waste it all.
Often on short terms. I do agree with that. A lot of content creators will ruin their careers. But again, here's some simple advice. Just don't be stupid. Don't get into some dumb controversy. I mean, dude, I say a lot of controversy.
It's not the controversy that ends them ruining it. But again, it's the limited window of opportunity to make money. You don't have that many earning years as an athlete. Your body is not going to be around when you're 30 plus, 40 plus. Again, LeBron is different. Not everyone's like that. That's what the purpose of this paragraph is.
Controversial things, but I haven't been cancelled. And that's mainly just because, again, you just...
I haven't been cancelled. Bro doesn't know. Bro, I mean, this video is not going to cancel Espiritu. Espiritu's community is still on his side. He's not getting cancelled. No one's getting cancelled. It's just funny that like 2 days ago, bro had no clue that this would happen.
Don't be a douche. Don't be weird. Don't be a bad person. It's that simple. Don't be a VTuber. I'm just kidding.
Whoa!
If anyone wants to...
Funny he brings up VTubers here, because I think that VTubers are way more sustainable than flesh tubers. VTubers do not rely on their physical appearance of the IRL person. You have an infinite, young, attractive, aesthetic model that people can become parasocially bonded to. If you are a girl and your content revolves around your appearance, you think that shit's gonna last that long? VTubers have an inherent advantage because they already bypassed that limitation. So in this aspect, VTubers actually, it is a sustainable path. If I was a girl, absolutely, I'd be VTubing.
Talk about sponsors investing and preparing for the future, feel free to hit me up.
Now, that sounds very misogynistic, what I just said, because I'm basically saying that if you're a girl, people will only watch you for your appearance. Why doesn't that apply for me? Because I'm trying to make people watch me for my commentary and my talking points. People don't watch me because I look good. People watch me because of the things that I say. My example there, I guess, is more targeted towards like the OnlyFans type of e-girls, right? I'm sure there's plenty of other girls out there where their content is mainly appealing due to their commentary. And if so, then age doesn't really matter, as you basically, you know, can do the shit for long and long. Just look at Asmongold, right? You think motherfuckers are watching the Roach King because of his looks? They're watching it because of the things that he says. And as long as you continuously pump out content or are relatable and you can logically assess stuff, you can do that shit for so long. That's why my entire channel is basically modeled after Asmongold. Commentary channel based on my personality. That shit is eternal.
More than happy to. I know I can DM him.
If anyone wants to talk about sponsors and interesting preparing for the future, feel free to hit me up. Bro doesn't know. Bro doesn't know. Not just yet. 2 days ago, Espiritu definitely didn't know.
But it's just one of those where I'm like, I don't quite agree with the full messaging here, but I do agree with some of the... You need to put things into place. I've been making content for nearly 7 years now, and I love helping other CCs prepare for the future.
That's so nice.
Now you just sound like that email that I got from that really annoying content creator that was like trying to sell me his book.
It does kind of come off scammy. Like random people hitting up, like, oh, we love this, you know, your channel. I think it could do so well if you sign up to our services.
For the second time. I know a lot of people may not like hearing this, but I'd rather say this and make you upset. I mean, you know what?
That's fair. The truth hurts sometimes. They hate him because he spoke the truth. I think what Tectone is saying here is absolutely true. And if this hurts you, you shouldn't take it personally. You, I think, I'm not talking to Espiritu right now, but to anybody that took this the wrong way, like, you're upset because you know deep inside it's true. You want to reject this comfort lie that you've told yourself, but this is not going to last long. And the faster you face reality, the better well you're going to be off into the future.
Respect the fact that he's saying what he feels, even if it upsets people, but I just don't agree with quite the full messaging. Also, the market is falling rapidly right now, and investing is pretty peak right now.
Oh, yo, buy the dip. If you don't know about this boomer shit, basically, you know, the stock market's just fucking dying because of Trump and the tariffs and all the bullshit and the uncertainty. My gosh, it's tanking, but things are on sale. So many people are so eager to buy shit when everything is at an all-time high. And so many people, as soon as the stock starts crashing, are so scared to buy shit when prices are falling. Just think about that for a second. Why the fuck would you want to buy shit when it's the most expensive? Because you have confidence that's going to keep going up? What if things are going down? Shit's a fucking sale. Should you not be buying it? Now, there is the term, do not catch knives. As in, yeah, it's crashing right now, and it may be, you know, like a sale, but how much more is it going to crash? If you keep buying without realizing, like, oh shit, how much is it going to actually drip? You're now catching knives. That's the analogy.
I'm not going to give financial advice. Go to a financial advisor.
Do not go to a financial advisor. They scam you based on your ignorance and your illiteracy. Dollar cost average. Tax shelter account into an ETF that tracks the S&P 500. And forget about it. And in 20 to 30 years, with the power of compounding interest, that's all you gotta do, baby. Don't go to a financial advisor.
There are experts out there. I think overall the messaging is somewhat solid. Don't put, save your money, invest it, do stuff. I would reiterate and say, save what money you can if you're a content creator and you're making enough to have that saving. Find someone that's smart with money and invest, a financial planner, and invest.
Fuck the financial planner!
That money with them. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. Do not take anything I say serious.
Yes.
Legal reasons. I hear all those channels say it. But I'm being honest there. You need to find someone that is an expert in that area. But the mindset of this whole, like, you shouldn't be doing content creation at, like, age 35 or 30 plus, I don't think that's the right way to go about it.
He's not saying that, though. And it's explicitly not stated. But again, this is the crux of the argument. If you're doing this shit full time, and yeah, he didn't specifically say it, but it's heavily implied, and I guess that's where the misinterpretation comes from, right? He's not saying, just quit, bro. You can obviously do this shit while holding down a day job. But if you've invested everything into one bag, that's what he's saying, and there's a disconnect in the interpretation that's causing the drama, which honestly, this makes for content for me, so fuck it, let's go misinterpret more.
I think the reality is, if you want to be a content creator at an older age, just be mindful that it is a highly competitive market, that you may not succeed.
You probably won't succeed. That's just the fucking truth about this shit, bro. It is such a fucked up industry. Doesn't matter how charming you are. It doesn't matter how charismatic you are. It doesn't matter how good your content is. If you don't understand the rules of the game, of the YouTube algorithm, how many people are out there streaming to a fucking nobody, bro? How many people think that all they do is just turn on Twitch and stream a trending game and they get all the viewers, bro? That's not gonna happen. How are people gonna find you? People think that, oh, I can just upload videos on random topics I think, without understanding the algorithm bases you on like a specific niche, and the better you can focus on one topic, the faster you can scale off the recommendation system. Literally, what am I doing on the performance review videos? I show you the differences between my main channel, which is the horizontally invested content, where it's a variety content, but the average viewership is low. But still, it's fine, because at the end of the day, the monthly viewership is so high, compared to the second channel, which is a vertically invested channel, focused on one topic only, but because I'm utilizing the recommendation system so fucking well, it's getting way higher average viewership per video. But people don't understand that, and they never try to learn the game, and they try to just fucking put in the work, and they think that all I have to do is just grind. All I have to do is just put the time in. Guess what? That is the base minimum anyone can do. Anyone can try as hard as they can. But guess what? Everybody's trying hard. It's not about how hard you work. It's about how smart you work. Here's an analogy I always give. Who gives a fuck if you're out in the forest trying to chop down a fucking tree with a wooden spoon? Sure, you did that shit every day, all day, every day, and then I come here with a fucking chainsaw, cut that shit in a matter of seconds and leave, and you're gonna be there bewildered thinking life isn't fair? You just don't understand the game.
Put years of work into it and fail it. But that's the case even for kids that are getting into it. You could spend 10, 15, 20 years doing it and not succeed. I've made 2 channels. both somewhat okay-ish. I make some pretty niche content, to be honest. I probably should start making content that isn't so niche and maybe try and take the channel more serious. But I just enjoy what I do. But at the same time, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
I personally think that Espiritu's new strategy of trying to be more like chibi reviews like and covering so much more like industry, anime related drama and new stuff like that is a pretty good idea. It's scalable content, little to no, script writing needed. It's one take on a, you can just pump that out at scale. I think it is a good idea.
Basket, don't just be 100% content creation unless you know that it is succeeding and that you have a good income from it. Again, side hustles. You can transfer some of those skills over. You can do editing for other people. Build your editing skills. It may even improve your...
While he is true, it's a bit of a reach because those kind of jobs are not sustainable or be able to make the type of earning, unless you really luck out with like a content creator that's doing so well, right? Again, like the transferable skills, it's not that appealing compared to like a regular stable day job where you have been working in the corporate industry and you have networks and you have years of experience, which is so fucking important. And again, not to consider the fucking gap of employments between when you last worked and stuff like that. All these different things fuck you over if you've been doing content creation full time and you try to get back into the industry.
Your own editing and make your content better. That's another thing. Again, editing is a transferable skill. You can also do art stuff like thumbnail design, fancy
reaching right now,
photoshopping types. That can be somewhat transferable as well. There's many graphic design.
Yeah, I'm not arguing it's not transferable, but how profitable is it? How realistic is it to be able to sustain yourself or the family? It's not very
jobs out there. Those are transferable skills. Marketing is a little bit more of a weirder thing. I mean, that's more if you'd like taking sponsorships and all that and you're trying to work with people. I've done a sponsorship before. It's one of those, yeah. And collaborations, again, it comes down to marketing, social skills, networking, those kinds of things. I think that's important. Though, to be honest, when it comes to collaborating is one of those where it's like, it's a dog eat dog. A lot of people will only want to collaborate with you unless there's something heavily for them to gain. That's why you see a lot of content creators that will do podcasts that will only invite people that they know that will help further that podcast doing well.
It's a business at the end of the day, right? This is not a charity. There needs to be mutual benefit, a net positive outcome for both parties. That's just the nature of business.
Even if they don't know what they're talking about on said topic. Tectone. Yeah, I'm calling you out, your anime podcast.
Oh shit, is the anime podcast trash? What's going on? Are a bunch of frauds on it? What's going on? Tell me more, Espiritu.
Half of your guests don't even know anything about anime and you call...
Half of your guests don't even know. Oh my god. Yo, name some names right now. This is juicy.
An anime podcast. At this point, you might as well... I'm not saying it.
Oh my goodness.
Bit of a fun jab. But I agree with some of the messaging, but I do feel like this is just one of those where it's like, this here bugs me. I think this is whole mindset that he thinks everyone should be a millionaire by the age of...
It's an inflammatory statement, but it's not a false statement necessarily. And the out of touch part, I think, is deeply rooted in Espiritu's misinterpretation of the notion that, hey, you can do this shit part-time. Like Tectone is saying, if you have aged into plus your 30s, right? And this isn't saying, oh, you've made only $999,099 by the age of 29 and you hit 30, quit, bro. You're a fucking loser. That's not what he's saying. It is definitely structured in a more inflammatory way to kind of trigger people, I guess, that's over the age of 30. But it is absolutely true from the context of full-time content creation.
Really think everyone should be a millionaire by 30 to 35, you are out of touch.
He's not really saying 30 to 35 here either, because again, the statement here is saying 30 plus. 60 is 30 plus. 70 is 30 plus. So is 31.
Maybe he worded it incorrectly, because I do know apparently he has said he's dyslexic, so maybe it's just a bad phrasing of word. If you're not a content creator in age 30... Again, you could be 30 plus and not be a millionaire. You could just be doing it again as a side hustle. I feel like what he should have said...
Yeah, but Tectone's not saying that, Like, we are shadowboxing right now, coming up with our own arguments that's never been made.
Is if you're a content creator full-time...
Yes, that's it. That's literally it. And boom, the drama is over. Straight up. Both sides here, Baldy and Homeless Man, agree on the same shit, but we're literally arguing because we're misinterpreting.
and you've been doing it for... I still don't agree with the millionaire thing. I just feel like if you've been doing content creation for a certain amount of time, full time, and you're not got it at a stable point, then you need to look at other options to do on the side. You don't have to quit, but either do both. Evaluate the channel and where you want to take the channel, and then also look at other options as well to supplement that. Don't just put...
The millionaire stuff, while it may sound out of touch, it's actually not that out of touch. Because here's the thing, becoming a millionaire is actually not that out of hand for most people that are working in white collar jobs or blue collar jobs. But you don't become a millionaire at the age of 20. You become a millionaire by, again, dollar cost averaging into the S&P 500 tracked ETFs, and over 20 to 30 years with compound interest, you will have accrued enough where you are a millionaire. And at that point, you're kind of financially independent, where now you can retire and live life in a moderate way where the amount that you spend is now basically being offset by the passive income being made. You can do that working regular jobs. But when you do content creation, your earning potential, your window opportunity is very limited. And the whole millionaire stuff, yes, it sounds inflammatory, but it's the notion that, hey, when you age so much, the earning is not going to come in. And at that point, you're behind your peers who's been in, the regular jobs. That's what it is. At the end of the day, it is unfortunate that this drama has sparked into Tectone calling him the dumbest creator based off of misinterpretation. But hey, you know what the best part is? It's just fucking entertainment, baby. Welcome to the jungle. This is just episode 1, and we will be watching extra parts. This one is next. Tectone trying to silence me? Please go check out Espiritu's channel. Here's a link to the video. Go check out his channel if you want to see more anime related industry news and stuff like that, and I'll see you next time.